Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Flexi webinar. My name is Bennett. I'll be the moderator for today, and our presenter is Aaron Clapp, the application specialist at SAI. He knows everything there is to know about Flexi, and today he'll be demonstrating the new output channel preview feature in Flexi 21. After the presentation, we'll be able to answer any questions you have either about this feature or any other Flexi topic. So feel free to put those questions in the chat and we'll answer as many as we can. We are recording the webinar as always, so if you want to review anything that Aaron discusses or share it with someone else, we'll be sending you the link this afternoon. So look out for that in your inboxes. And with that, we're ready to get started. So I'll let Aaron take it away.
All right, sounds good. So what we got for today is the output channel preview. So this is a newer feature for Flexi. And the idea behind this is to make determining what you're going to be printing in terms of the preview much easier. So this will really help those who are printing white or metallic or even other colors. Really kind of gives you a more accurate depiction of what's actually going to be printed on your graphic. So let's take a couple examples here. We'll jump into Flexi here. We've got our screen share going. And we're just going to import a file real quick here. Let's pick a couple of these. We can kind of do them both at the same time here. Scale this guy up just a little bit here. Okay, so we got a couple images here. There's just a couple bitmaps. Nothing real special here about these. Let's go ahead and apply an effect to this so that when we send this over to Production Manager to preview, we've got some things that we can look at. So first of all, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and set a variable underbase on one of these. So let's do that on this one. And then on this one, we'll do a solid underbase. Oops, I don't think I applied that. Let's see here. I actually need to hit apply over here. And that's okay. Apply. And then let's do a solid underbase on this one. And apply. And we'll just use that grayish color. So what this does, in this particular case, our underbase, if I select separate underbase here from the effects menu, this essentially puts a white or some kind of a white or clear or whatever you're going to use this for underneath the image. And solid puts a solid underbase underneath the image. And if we select the variable, what it does is well, it's a little bit hard to see, but you can kind of see here how it varies the color based on what's in the foreground. And so you're going to have different thicknesses or shades of the white as we go. So let's go ahead and grab these. And in order to get to the output preview center, we got to get to the production manager. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say hold and list. And we're going to go ahead and just hit send. So this job is going to hold in the list for us. And we're going to pull up Production Manager. Let that load. All right, so we got our job here. So I'm going to double click on this job. And then we're going to go to our output channel preview. So if we click on this, we can now see all the different channels that are going to be printed in this file from your printer. Now, what's going to be really important in this part here is what you have chosen for your color mode. So by default, let's just select CMYK, for example, and go back to our output channel preview. Now the white is gone and we just have the cyan, magenta, and yellow. And we can preview these if we want to, and this will give us an idea of, what colors are going to print and kind of where and in what patterns and things like that. This can really help for several different things, but it gives you a good idea of where what's going to print. Now, again, I think this is really helpful for white or metallic or perhaps even like clear overcoats, things like that. So let's go back here, go into our color management, and we're going to need to choose the correct output color mode. So I'm going to choose one that has CMYK, light cyan, light magenta, white, and metallic. And then I can go back into here, and now I've got my light cyan in here as well as my light magenta along with spot white. So if I choose spot white, this should give me a preview. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that it didn't really give us any, or it's not giving us anything. So in this particular example, what we need to do is we actually need to go back to the printer and define the white options. So I'm going to say spot color. Let's do variable undercolor. So this is going to do a variable underbase. Hit OK. And it might not be a good example to probably combine a variable underbase with a solid underbase, but we'll go ahead and do that here. Okay, there we go. So here's what is going to happen is because of that selection that we've chosen, now we can see that this is how our white channel is going to preview. So this is really nice because before you really never knew what was going to happen with some of these colors. And so this makes it really easy to kind of identify what's actually happening with some of your underbase or your white options. Now I can go in here and I can choose different white options like undercolor or for example, and I can just preview that and I can see what it's actually going to print. So undercolor, for example, is just a solid undercolor. So in this particular case, it doesn't matter that I used variable or a variable underbase or solid underbase. I could set both of them to be the same. Now, typically you wouldn't combine the two together in one file. You'd print those separately. But in this example, I wanted to kind of show them together. So now I can kind of see, okay, this is really not the setting that I want. And that makes going back into your white and metallic options much more understandable. So now you can actually choose different options, right? And for example, if we choose substrate, and I go back here, we can actually now see here what it's going to do. So in this particular case, it's just going to print white everywhere. And so it's going to print white as if it were the substrate. So this really makes sense, or it really is powerful to see what's actually happening or what's going to be printing in each channel so that you can kind of get an idea of what's actually going to be printed and where. This is, something that, especially if you might be having troubleshooting with some color issues or something like that, you might be able to kind of tell, oh man, my this particular color is way oversaturated in this area, or maybe my white or metallic is not printing in the correct area. Then we can kind of go back and forth and troubleshoot that. So that's a file being pulled in from Flexi. You can also do this with files that have been created from other programs like Illustrator or Photoshop or something like that. So let's go ahead and pull in a job directly into Production Manager. So this time we're going to skip the Flexi workflow altogether. And I'm going to pull in this job here, Boom Vector White, and just add. We'll let that load here. This was a file that was a PDF file that was created in Illustrator with the appropriate layers. So this one actually has, this file actually has a white layer in it that the software recognizes as white. So double click on that. Again, we want to make sure and verify. And because I hit cancel on that other screen, it went back to CMYK. but we want to make sure that we're using the profile that we want. And in most cases, you probably won't have to worry about that too much, but it's something you do want to make sure and check. So then we're going to go in here. We'll check our white options, and we'll just leave it at spot color for now and just see what that does. Hit OK. And then we can click our output channel preview. And again, we can say preview the channels. And now we can kind of go through here and find out where the different colors are going to print. I can combine colors together if I want to. So we can see this will be the black. We've got our other colors. Looks like there's nothing in light cyan or magenta, just pure magenta. And then we've got our spot white. And so this is the way that they created this file. They set it up so that this file would print white wherever there was color. So if we turn on, or we go back to our preview here, this file was designed so that the white would only print behind all the graphics here. It's not going to print anywhere else. And so when we go back to our spot white, this tells us exactly what we need to see, and we can determine where that's going to be in this case. So just to kind of go over these options here real quick, spot color typically is going to print as a spot color. So wherever the spot color in your file is located, it'll print there. Under color is basically, it means just I want you to put white underneath everywhere where there's color. The fill color is similar to under color, except for it only puts it in underneath the areas where the fill color is. You can print white as a substrate or whatever as a substrate. And then fill substrate is very similar. And then variable under color varies the color based on the darkness. So if we choose variable under color for this file, we can see what happens. Now in this case, it's pretty solid. So it's just going to print a solid white color all around. So in this case, it's not really doing much in terms of variability because that color is pretty dark and pretty uniform. But as we saw in that flower picture, if you have a lot of varying colors and things like that, it can reduce the amount of white ink that it uses in order to save you some ink. It's just kind of the idea there. Is if it's printing black, it most likely may not need as much white as lighter colors like a light magenta or even like a gray or something like that. You'd want to have more white so that it doesn't look transparent and things like that. So we can access this through the production manager, and that's kind of an important thing to note. It's not actually in the rip and print screen, so we can't actually see it here, but we can see it inside the production manager. So this is something that you're doing. You want to make sure and send these files over into the production manager so that you can preview them here inside there, right here, and then just make sure and check those options there, and then make sure that your settings are appropriate here, and then make sure your driver settings are correct if you're using white or metallic. So this is kind of a nice little tool. It's a very simple. It's not super overly complicated, but I think it gives people and it gives our users the ability to just have more knowledge about what's actually going to be printing when they look at it, especially for white and metallic. I think this is a game changer for white and metallic because many times when printing white and metallic, when you go to choose your white and metallic options, it was kind of difficult to know, okay, well, which one should I choose? And that could be confusing. And so now if it's confusing or you're not sure, now you can just click on one and see what it does and see what that variable printing is going to look like, or find out before you send it and then have to waste a bunch of media trying to test where you're printing the white and all that kind of stuff. And so this is a really, really powerful tool, I think, nested inside the production manager that we think will really help give you that assurance that as you print these specialty type situations, that that you're going to get what you want, or you're going to print the quality or the type of effect that you want behind any of your graphics. And this also works for front and back as well. So if you're doing like a white color white, you can see those different channels in here as well, because you'd have two spot white channels or whatever. So that's really good in that way as well. So this is your output channel preview. Again, not super complicated or super overly difficult to use, but we think it might give you the just a little bit more extra information. And that's kind of the goal here, is to give you as much info about the print that you're going to be sending out as possible, so that you're more informed when it comes off the printer, that you'll know it's going to be successful. And so if you guys have any questions about this, let me know, or about anything in Flexi, just in general, uh, go ahead and type those up in the chat, and we'll answer any of those questions that you might have here today.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us for the presentation. Like Aaron said, if you have any questions, can be about this topic or any other Flexi topic, put them in the chat and we'll get them answered for you. And while we wait for any questions to come in, I'll let you know that our next Flexi webinar will be about another new feature in Flexi 21. It's the custom cut line names and colors. And that sort of helps you just assign specific cutting and color conditions to make things a little bit easier for you. And that'll be on December 7th. And we hope to see you there for that one.
Yeah, that'll be a great one to sign up for as well, because we've added a lot more abilities in that regards. And so if you are using or importing files in from another program and they use different names for their color contour cuts and different things like that, that's a really good new feature for that as well. So I'm excited about that one.
Wait a little bit longer here to see if anyone has any questions. As a reminder, this and all of our other past webinars are uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can go back and review them there. And you can also, if you come up with any questions, contact our customer service or even comment on the YouTube video, and we'll try to get those answered for you. All right, well, I don't think there are any questions. Like I said, if you have any, come up with any, let us know in the YouTube comments. But for now, I guess we'll sign off. So thank you all again for joining us for this Flexi webinar. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter so you won't miss out on any webinar announcements. Don't forget our next Flexi webinar on December 7th. Thank you again for attending. We hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.